Hello everyone and welcome back once again. This is your history teacher here, and this time I am here with a new chapter of grade 6 NCERT History, Our Past Part 1, that is what books and burials tells us. Students, well, I hope you must have heard about the word Vedas or must have seen old volumes of books in your library. Students, this chapter, what books and burials tells us, will help you understand the types of Vedas and describe Rig Veda in detail. And students, at the end of the chapter, you will also know how burials help us in finding the social differences and lives of the people at that time. So, let's start. Now students, as you can see here, the first heading is the Rig Veda. Students, Rig Veda, one of the oldest books in the world, and it is a part of the 4 sacred texts of Hinduism called Veda. Students, as you all know that there are 4 Vedas in all, namely Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sam Veda and the Athar Veda. And students, the Rig Veda was composed about 3500 years ago, and it comprises approximately about 1028 hymns called Sukta, which means well said in English. And students, the hymns in the Rig Veda are generally to praise God and goddesses, chiefly the Agni, the god of fire, Indra, a warrior god, Soma, a plant from which a special kind of drink was prepared. So students, most of the hymns in the Rig Veda are generally in praise of these 3 gods, the god of fire, a warrior god and Soma. Students, the hymns in Rig Veda are written in dialogues form, and these dialogues are basically between humans and elements of nature. Apart from gods, Rig Veda also comprises prayers for horses, cattle and children, and especially for sons. And students, that time the society was male dominant. So most of the hymns were composed, taught and learned by men. So that time a few women got the opportunity to compose hymns. Students, the Rig Veda is written in Vedic Sanskrit, which belongs to the Indo-European family of languages. And students, that time the hymns of the Rig Veda was recited and heard rather than read and write. And so it was written down several centuries after it was first composed, and it was just printed less than 200 years ago. Now students, the next heading is how historians study the Rig Veda. Students, as I said earlier that most of the hymns in Rig Veda are in the form of the dialogues, and these dialogues are basically in between humans and the elements of the nature. As you can see here is an example of a dialogue between a sage named Vishwamitra and the 2 rivers Byas and Satluj. And students, that time rivers were worshipped as goddesses, and it is an example of a dialogue between Vishwamitra and these 2 rivers Byas and Satluj. So students, through these kind of evidences, historians study the Rig Veda. Now students, the next heading is cattle, horses and chariots. Students, as I said earlier that there are many prayers in the Rig Veda for cattle, children, especially for sons and for horses. Now students, can you answer me that why in Rig Veda many prayers are for children and in fact especially for sons? Students, as you all know that today money is the main power, and money is the power to do anything and everything literally. But students, hundreds and thousands of years ago, when there were no machines and gadgets, everything had to be done manually, and that required muscular strength. So that time, more suns meant certainly more strength that was needed to defend your tribes and territories. That's why that time most of the prayers in Rig Veda are especially for sons. Now students, that time horses also were used in battles, and students, all the battles that were fought that time are especially for land, water, and to capture people and cattle. And students, you will amazed to know that there was no regular army, but there were assemblies where all the people gather and discuss the matters of war and peace. And as I said, that time the society was male dominant, so most of the men took part in the wars and also chose their leaders for the wars. And students, after victory, all the wealth was kept by the leader of the army, and some of the wealth were given to the priest and rest of the wealth distributed among the common people. Now students, in this section you will learn that what are the different kind of words that were used that time to describe the people in Rig Veda. Students, that time people are named on the basis of their work, the language they speak, the place they belongs to, their family and community, etc. And based on the work people did, there were two main groups in the past, the priests and the rajas. Students, priests were the people who performed rituals and taught Vedas, and that's why sometime they were also called Brahmins, because they used to perform various rituals for the rajas and for the welfare of the territory. The second one, the rajas. Students, however, the individual kings were called rajas, and rajas living in iron times were usually different from those living in the later periods. So that time a raja had no capital cities, palaces or armies, nor did they collect taxes. And in fact, the sons of the rajas also didn't automatically succeed father as rajas. In fact, that time the raja was elected by the common people. Now students, in the same way, two words were used to describe the people or the community as a whole, and that two words are, one was Jana and the second was Vish. These two words were used to describe the common people, whereas the people who composed the hymns describe themselves as Aryas, means noble person, and all the peoples other than Aryas were considered as Dasas or Dasyus. And students, the term here Dasas means slave, and that time the slaves were basically women and men who were often captured in war by the conquered leader. Now students, the next heading is Silent Sentinels and the story of the megalith. Students, the word sentinels means a soldier or guard whose job is to stand and keep watch. And students, here this word sentinel is used for the huge stones called megaliths. Students, megaliths were huge stones that were erected to mark burial sites used by people 3000 years back. And students, this practice of erecting stones to mark burial sites were very common in South India, Deccan, Kashmir and the Northeast. And students, the burial sites are both above and underground, and all the burials have some common features. Like the dead were buried with distinctive pots which are called black and red ware, as you can see here in this image. And students, this image over here is a burial site, and as you can also see here, here are huge stones erecting surrounding the burials, and these stones resemble a burial site over here. And students, as I said, that time many distinctive articles were buried with the dead person. So the archaeologists found many such kind of articles in some megalithic burials. And students, such remains indicate the buried people were herders and farmers. And students, can you answer me why these people that time do so? Students, that time these people do so because they believed that it was the entry of the dead person in the next life. That's why they buried all these distinctive spots or articles with the dead person. Now students, the next heading is finding out about social differences. Students, as I said earlier, that archaeologists found different kind of articles with the skeleton in the burial sites. So as you can see here in these two images, as in this first one image, you can see the golden items were buried with this skeleton, and in the same way here in the second image you can see here these kind of articles, means pots, etc., that were kept with the dead person. So students, when archaeologists excavated different megalithic burial sites, then they found these kind of objects, and that's why they came to a conclusion that all these articles may have belonged to the dead person. And students, when archaeologists excavated these burial sites, they found that there were differences in status among us, the people who were buried. As you can see here, the first image, and students, if you observe this image carefully, then you will observe here different kind of articles that are made of gold. In the same way, archaeologists also found different kind of articles like beads, stone beads, copper bangles, etc. Whereas students, if you observe this one image over here, then you will observe here only a few pots, and through this we can clearly say that the first burial is of a rich people, whereas the second one is of a poor one. Now students, the next topic here is, were some burial spots meant for certain families? Students, certain megalith burials have revealed multiple skeletons which indicate that the megalith people buried the family members in the same grave at times, and the dead bodies were put in the existing graves through the pot holes and placed next to the skeleton. Students, as I said, that people belonging to the same family were buried in the same place. So stone circles or boulders were placed on the surface, served as signposts for them to find the burial site. And students, can you answer me why do they do so? Because in future, if they wanted to return back to the same place, then they could find that place easily. So that's why stone circles or boulders were placed on the surface. Now students, here is a special case study of such a burial site named Inam Gaon. Students, this Inam Gaon is a post-Harappan village, and it is also an archaeological site located in Maharashtra, Western India. And students, this site is on the bank of the river Ghodh. And students, this river Ghodh is the tributary river of the Bhima river. And students, you will amazed to know that the inhabitants of Inam Gaon had a special kind of burial ritual. They buried the dead in straight position in oval shaped pits with the head pointing towards the north while the legs to the south. As you can see here in this image, the head of the skeleton is on the north directions, and vessels that probably contain food and water were also placed along with the dead person. As I said earlier, why do they so? Because they believe that it was the entry of the next life of the dead person. So they kept all these items with the dead person. Now students, let's discuss the kind of occupation of the people of Inam Gaon. Students, during the excavation of the burial sites, archaeologists have also found different kinds of seeds over there in Inam Gaon, and the seeds were basically of wheat, barley, rice, pulses, millets, peas and sesame. And through these evidences, they came to a point that the people of Inam Gaon used to cultivate these seeds in agriculture. In the same way, archaeologists also found different kind of bones, and they noticed that there are many cuts in the bones of the animals that suggested that the people of the Inam Gaon have been used these animals as their food. In the same way, archaeologists also found some seeds of fruits like ber, amla, jamun, dates and variety of berries that were used as fruits by the people of Inam Gaon. Now students, that's all about your chapter number 4, and with this topic here, your chapter number 4 is completed. Now I will be come back soon with another chapter. Till then, stay home, stay safe and stay healthy.